What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Culture Decides. I'm your host, Lee, and as you can see, or eventually hear, I have a very special guest for you all. Kris is joining me today to talk about some real nice tea, y'all. I think you're gonna love it, especially considering what's going on. But shout yourself out real quick. Let them know who you are.
Yeah. Kris Chesson. I'm one half of the Bad Queers podcast. Shout out to my co-host, Shayna. We have a weekly podcast that comes out on Mondays, just talking about everything Black and queer and pop culture and beyond politics. You know, we talk our shit. And yeah, Lee, we have had a friendship for a number of years. We met working together, so previous colleagues, but you have a love of music, and we love music, but like rap music. And I was like so excited about this podcast and what you do here and all that. We need more like Black queer music podcasts. So yeah, we've been cooking this up for months because just monitoring everything that's been going on. So we have a lot to talk about. Our messy boy rap stuff.
No, it's so true.
Yeah.
Actually, guys, the first time we met was out in the West Coast in California,
Mhm.
and our first conversation where we connected was literally talking about the very things we're about to tap into, like,
Mhm.
and from then I was like, oh, okay, I know you for real. And you know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah. You could really tell people by their music taste. There's
right.
a lot of filtering questions and everything. So yeah, we had a good conversation for sure.
Right. So, y'all, this episode is called Idols Turn Incels, and we are going to tap into Kanye and Young Money, a little bit of the crew there.
Mm.
And before we do so, though, I just want to talk through, like, what we've been listening to. Y'all always hear what I've been listening to, but, I definitely want to tap into what Kris has on her playlist, you know what I'm saying, just to spice it up a little bit. Y'all want to hear new music? Y'all have recommendations from us right here, okay?
Yeah.
So first things first, I told y'all about the music submission form. Well, I have my first review for it. Brooklyn the Kid from VA submitted
Let's go.
her song. I had to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Lined up.
Right. Perfect. I was like, yeah, that makes sense right there. All right. So Brooklyn the Kid is actually a part of the LGBTQ community, and it's Pride Month, y'all. So, y'all see me, y'all hear me, y'all see us. So we always gonna do it big for us. You know what I'm saying? So she has a song called Dyke Lee, and honestly, I really love it. She gives great energy on the socials. You see her, she's always posting, keeping it consistent, and like it's very creative. And on this song, Dyke Lee, she's talking her shit, you know what I'm saying? She has this very nice, sophisticated, jazzy beat on the back, and she calls it a freestyle, and she did very much that. And I feel like, hearing like a Virginia rapper, I was like, this is what y'all serve, like more of a like slower down vibe, but still packing the punch with the bars, you know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
just talking about like leveling up, feeling fly as fuck, eating great meals, and how the haters, they weren't tuning in before, but now they want to check up on you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They don't know that, you've been putting the work in this whole time behind the scenes, and they think, oh, now you're up. So, I really did like this track. The hit line on here, she's like, I know your girl like me. It's very likely they call me Dyke Lee. 3 out of 3 for me.
That's awesome. Shout out to VA. Shout out to the DMV. I'll have to check Brooklyn the Kid out. This is a good aesthetic. I see I'm looking at the linked out like Instagram, and like the page looks great. Got the Spike Lee Brooklyn hat.
Facts. I was like, okay, swaggy,
Okay.
put
All right.
it.
All right. That's cool. Well, I'll get to the new music, but I have a 2.5-year-old son, so introducing him to a lot of different music. So I'm listening to a lot of Black house music. Crystal Waters, CeCe Peniston, Frankie Knuckles, Martha Wash, like just that era of music is fun. The videos are fun. It's kid appropriate. And it's good, like foundational beat. Like it's cool to be able to have my son be able to kind of experience what I did in my childhood. Like my parents, first off, were older parents, so my dad had a wide range of music that he would play. He'd play his jazz, he'd play his gospel on Sunday, he'd play a lot of Motown to Gamble and Huff, like that Philly sound. So and current stuff. And then my sister, closest in age, was a big Jay-Z fan. So I grew up as a New York hip hop head. So, it's cool to be able to expose that music, different music to my son. I always think Black house music is good, like foundational to catch the beat of stuff, to hear different kind of variations of things and like powerful vocals, which I always liked when I was growing up. So yeah, shout out to all of the legends, the Robin S's, like they, Black house music. Current music that I checked out, I saw, like K1 who
Oh,
did the video with Kaylani.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, caught their newest video, Do What I Say, which I thought was pretty fly and the concept was cool. I wanted to get into K1 a little bit more. Haven't gotten into it, like see her obviously ascending and all that, and looks pretty talented. But for me, I'm waiting for the clips. We talk about Virginia. I'm a 757 girl, born in Norfolk, raised in Chesapeake. And we're loyal to the soil down there. So clips. It's been 16 years since we got an album. Everything that they've put out during this rollout has been amazing, so I'm very excited. And it goes along with our messy boy drama today. So
Definitely agreed there. I'm equally excited for that with clips. They already been ruffling a lot of feathers, and then K1 definitely someone to pay attention to. But like you said, it's gonna roll clips and all this. This tea coming up right now rolls into like what we're gonna talk about
mhm.
specifically with these messy guys, and I guess the messy girl too, a part of
Yeah, yep.
it.
There will be a messy girl in this. So there's always one. Yeah. This one we should have saw from a mile away, but.
Right. So, Barb's, if you're listening, don't come for us. We ain't coming for you. We might
It's
just
objective.
yeah,
And you know what? I'm too, we haven't talked about this, but there is a age difference between the two of us
right.
that's like, I can't even consider a Barb for real. I know their power on the internet. I know they've done some real thing, but like, and you're probably still the same way with fans, but like, it's such standing culture happened after like my formative years. So like Barb's and everything, like they just don't make sense to me. Like they don't register. And to even some extent, Beehive, like I won't mess with these fan groups and these stands because they are like, do their thing. But like I could just never take that seriously. So
It's
mm-mm.
toxic.
It's a cult. It's a cult. Somebody had said that, oh, cults are down. And people were like, no, they're not. They're just all online. Like everybody has their own little cults. And there are barbs who are and there are stans and fans of artists that are reasonable. And I like to think, and that's actually why we had a good conversation when we met, and conversation subsequently, because I was like, oh, you are a level-headed fan. Like you could call it both ways of stuff. So even when last year this Drake and Kendrick stuff started, and like when we finally got to talk about it, like we're gonna give an objective opinion as much as we can, because there's gonna be some things that come in there, but like like I'm not gonna shy away from being a huge Drake fan
Right.
and Kanye fan, former for both, but there was a road to get to where I'm at now.
Right.
So
We are officially retired.
we're retired. We're retired. I'm retired. I'm retired. Like there's why we wanted to do this is because it's like analyzing just the fall in the arc that both of those careers of Kanye and Drake and then Nicki as well to some extent, because they came up in the same era
Right.
and they were so powerful in music for a while where it's like sky's the limit, and like their falls from grace have been like different but connected. So so much mess to jump into, but so much talent as well, because we're never going to deny these people are very talented.
They were definitely like even I would say pioneers with certain sounds,
Yeah.
and like help, if not pioneers, help push certain sounds for
Yeah.
Asians. They say about Drake, he taps into different cultures, and he did that, and he did it well.
Well,
But
he certainly turned out to be the actor that he started off as, huh? Like it was like I've always now have to remember this nigga was an actor. So
that's where we all discovered him somehow.
yeah. Did you watch Degrassi? Because I was too old.
I ain't gonna lie, I did not watch Degrassi.
Okay, cool.
I knew about Jimmy in the wheelchair, and I
Yeah.
want everybody to be like, "Oh my God, Jimmy got shot." I didn't care
Hmm.
about Jimmy though.
It was a big deal. It was a big deal. What I forgot what station it was on, but Degrassi is a Canadian show, but it was very big in the States still. And like Like it was a thing. It just
Yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, I was a little too white.
Yeah, yeah.
For me. Yeah, I was like, all right now.
That kind of makes sense why,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, listen, if there's a prevailing thing, the signs were there.
Yeah. And that's what we gonna point that out to y'all. So like I guess in some way that is kind of like the rise of Drake, right? So for the beginning sake, I guess we'll talk about like the rise and like how we kind of started our journey as fans of them.
Yeah.
I think, like Chris mentioned we're a part of two different generations, but
Mhm.
we had like similar kind of experiences, except maybe for me, I might have been a late bloomer in some cases.
I too was a late bloomer, so it's like parallel pathing, but I think what are we like 10 years between us at least?
Yeah.
Like I'll be 37 in October.
All
I
right.
don't know how.
I now I'll be 28 in July.
Oh, there we go. So 10 years. So nine,
Yeah.
10 years. So like just a decade apart. So it's very interesting to me. And I'm also very interested to hear how you were experiencing music at the time, because like how we all come to music when you're like pretty much from middle school on is like I'll take people's music memories seriously, because like then you're really starting to kind of live in the world and have emotions and feelings and everything. So, it's gonna be, yeah, that's why this is gonna be a great conversation. Two different perspectives and experiences at the time.
Yeah, no, great point. And I think for me, like you said, middle school is when you start really like developing.
Those feelings are there.
That's when you kind of start becoming a stan, but then you're supposed to grow out of it. Some people
Mhm.
don't.
Mhm. Mhm.
The first thing on here we're going to talk about is like when we first heard Kanye, right?
Okay.
So like one of the first songs that stood out to me from Kanye was Through the Wire. I was young as hell. I was 6 years old. For me, I was consuming music through like 106 in Park. If it wasn't
Mhm.
my parent, which my parents, if y'all don't know, they're Caribbean, so they were mostly playing a lot of Caribbean oldie
Okay.
and
Nice.
that kind of vibe. And for me to like get connected to hip hop, it involved listening to the radio or
Mhm.
watching 106 in Park and all those different like MTV jams.
Yeah.
I need to be embedded in my American culture too, because
I gotta go to school now.
you don't know nothing. So I was watching 106 in Park. I'm talking like we talking like AJ and Free era,
Mhm.
seeing them transition through the host, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Where were you living at the time?
I was living in
New
Brooklyn.
York.
So
Okay, so you were in New York. So that must have been interesting, because even during that time, I think Kanye, this came out in like 2004, and it was right when you started to see Rockefeller, like, split, like, so it was, like, an interesting time. I think Rockefeller, like, probably officially split in, like, 2005, but you knew he was on Rockefeller, so, like, you give that respect of it, and, yeah, New York at that time must have been interesting,
yeah,
because
I mean, we had like 50, everybody just rapping. Like now, like I feel like I have like a bone to pick with New York, which I'm like, y'all not rapping hard enough. Come on.
yeah, y'all ate each other up, because as someone who was in, middle school and high school during those times, like, it went from like, when I was younger, like, again, like, I grew up in the rise of, like, the fumes of, like, gangster rap in terms of, like, Snoop and West Coast, like, gangster rap was such a phenomenon, like, in the early '90s, but I was too young, so by the time I was, like, in school, it had, like, not infected, but rapping had changed, like, the subject matter had changed, and, you did have the Jay-Z and the Beyonce not Beyonce, the Biggies that it was, luxury rap, the
Right.
beginning of the luxury rap era.
About stuff we can't relate to. I'm like,
Yeah, at all. But the storytelling and the words within it and just all that was just like New York seems so glamorous, and like at the time, and that's a whole other episode to talk about the bad boy era going on at the same time. But it was just like music was changing in a way, and like Ja Rule had had his run, Murder Inc. had had their huge run with where it was kind of getting back to being fun. Like it really for a second there looked like it was gonna balance out with like I'm talking about like Holla Holla Ja Rule, but him getting with Ashanti and just like it being that poppy sound, and then 50 Cent came out and squashed all that. Like by the time Through the Wire came out, like 50 had completely gotten Ja Rule and that fun rap shit out of the way. Like it was about Get Rich or Die Trying, G Unit, the Spin It. Like it was back to like gangster rap, but New York, like hard gangster
right.
rap, the diplomats. It was that era. So when I first saw Kanye, I don't remember specifically when I saw Through the Wire video. It was either on BET or MTV, and it was one of the video shows. It wasn't a countdown show. It was just like when they used to play music all the goddamn time. They
Yeah.
don't do that now. But the first time I saw a clip of Kanye was on Rap City with his little his first appearance, with his little backpack and everything. And I was like, oh, like a black suburban rapper. Like, because you could already tell he wasn't 50. Like, he wasn't any of these other guys. And the sample, obviously using through the fire, Shaka Khan's sample, immediately identified that because, you know, again, having that foundation in, you know, just that era of music. And yeah, it was soulful. And then the lyrics were there. The lyrics were good, but it was stuff I could relate to. So it was just like refreshing to see this guy that wasn't like, you know, even though I love 50 Cent, like it was just like, wow, I was never gonna really be able to connect to these rappers in this certain way. And there was still conscious rap going on, but this is also what they were like ramping up to feed us, like the whole commercialism, like gangsta, like, you know, sexualizing everything. Like, so you didn't see Mos Def so much after a while and stuff like that. So, or Black Star.
No, all great points. I think you definitely pointed out like that was the beginning of like the two versions of rap. You know what I'm saying? Like was on one end, and honestly, that's who I was listening to. Like I remember, you know, when he was he had his music video. Back then, I thought his name was Go Shawty because he was saying Go Shawty. Go Shawty. His name was 50 Cent.
Yeah. I remember hearing Wanksta on, like, somebody had played it and it was on one of those burnt, you know, CDs from like the barbershop or whatever. The first time somebody played that, it feels like people are like, don't play Ja Rule again, because the story about it came, and then you knew that there was animosity and that he was really going for everybody because he had, you know, How to Rob or whatever that was that came out around, you know, before that, around the same time. So you knew he was going to antagonize guys. You knew the story about you know, him getting shot 9 times, and then in the club just like blew him into superstardom because he was already like Wanksta and all those other things had bubbled up, and it was like, yeah, we returning to this. And then in the club, like, obviously one of the biggest kind of rap pop hits of all time. You got the Eminem cosign, the Dr. Dre cosign. It was just like, oh my God, this is like the Transformers. Like, it's crazy. So it looked like it was gonna go that way. Yeah. And then here you have this backpack wearing, you know, polo wearing.
Yeah, polo wearing.
The funny shit is, like, if Kanye had dropped today with that, they would have called him a plant so quickly. They would have been like, that nigga is a plant right there.
Facts. They would have trolled him. Everything would have been like, I mean, maybe his dressing would have been like what people are wearing now.
That's true. That's true. He would actually, yeah, it's a little bit more fluid with space of things. So maybe not, but he would have still got the allegations once he started to blow up. In the same way Doechii did. Like, Doechii had been out 2-3 years, and then once she got her accolades, they were like, she a plant. It's like, what? So,
well, yeah, no, like that's hilarious because like they definitely were just given 2 different vibes, and like when you think about today's music, that's the lanes. It's either real gangsta, there's Kendrick, and then there's wannabe gangsta Drake. Nah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so funny. I was gonna say too, just to even close out that era, because then, you know, Kanye goes on his run, and then you see Kanye step out as the producer of all these great things he had been doing for Jay and for others, but like, you know, him stepping into that from that producer to artist role. So you had the Rolling Stone cover, and that whole marketing ploy by 50 and Kanye, with both of them being good at getting attention, but having them go head to head on sales, and Kanye ultimately beat him. 50 versus Kanye Showdown is a famous Rolling Stone cover, and they were going head to head, and the rollout was basically them being against, you know, going against each other, and Kanye ultimately beat him out with Graduation. But and it just solidified kind of, I don't think 50 ever recovered musically. That didn't mean he didn't come out with, you know, other hits after that, but that was kind of a turn to like, okay, let's make some space for
the rapper,
maybe a different kind of rap, or like, you know, not everybody's from New York and does all this stuff. Like, and the South had something to say for real at that time during that era. That's a whole nother episode. But it was just like New York's hold on hip hop. Right. Like, I think that's when it that's when they lost it. That's when y'all lost it. Like,
That's a good
y'all have not gotten it back.
That's a really good point because no lie, I really like thinking about it now, like after you said it, I'm like, yeah, 50 was at the top in the club.
Mm-hmm.
After that, there was like he was making music, but nothing hit like in the club. You know when like
Oh,
we say like, yo, can this artist top this album that they made? I feel like he had that moment, but he was
he did.
always able to remain relevant because he was a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Mm-hmm.
vitamin water, and then he got the later down the line, like that's why he acting and all that stuff. So I feel
And
like
producing.
yeah, producer. So that's why he was like, you know what? All right, you can have. I'm
But that's also the demise of New York is like he represented, and again, you also had the fall of Rockefeller at that time and stuff like that. And then like even, Cam and Jay-Z was beefing. It's just like New York can never have any unity. Y'all just don't. Y'all just don't have, y'all just will not have no like any unity. And it doesn't mean you can't fight, but the Atlanta rappers had all like that's how they stayed so
and
glued.
yeah,
It's like, they stayed together. And it didn't mean they didn't have their fights, but like, who was it? It wasn't T.I. and Jeezy, but you know what I mean? Like it still never got like they weren't trashing each other's I don't know. I don't know because they did trash each other's music, but
yeah,
maybe not in the way y'all did. Like y'all 50 went out for the knockout blow unprompted to Ja Rule, but he was also talking greasy to Jay-Z. He was also talking greasy to a lot of execs. So 50 actually probably killed his music career because he was beefing with everybody. So he kind of had to move on. But this was the change. Like this was it after that 2007 head-to-head thing. And again, I know there's people that be like, no, like 50 still sold, and this is the time that albums were still selling pretty well, but that was around the peak because
yeah,
Kanye had broken through and it was like, oh, it's okay to not be that. So
yeah. No, I definitely think he influenced a lot of people to also just tap into different sounds, and I think
mhm.
we hop into like even like Young Money, for instance, and talk about how the like Nicki and Drake kind of expand their career.
Mhm.
You can tell they were influenced by some of those different sounds, like bringing in that pop sound, just trying to be a perfection on the production, even if that wasn't their strong suit, just bringing in different producers to create that vibe.
Yeah.
Influenced by, I would say, the Yays and
Mhm.
all those type of
The
people.
Pharrells too.
Pharrells, yep.
The Pharrells. Because we'll get into how I think this even happens with Lil
Right.
Wayne wanting to, obviously they have the big fight after uh Baby Doesn't Pay Pharrell for Mr. Me Too, which
Right.
Clips is on, and that's what starts their beef and all that. And then Mr. Me Too is about how Wayne was copying Pharrell's whole skateboard style, which was always inherent to him. Lil Wayne didn't start this way, kids, with like skateboarders and stuff. It's like him, the Hot Boys, all that. That was his thing, and then he just decided to be a skateboarder when you saw Pharrell doing it. So, me as a Virginian, I know that's when I get less subject, but that's really how it went down. But
That's
he speaking of newer sounds, I feel like that might have been around the time that you saw Wayne with like guitars and stuff. Like it wasn't just the skateboard. So he was open to new sounds. And I feel like that's when you saw the formation of Young Money, and then you had a Drake and you had a Nicki with Lil Wayne, who still is like top three rappers at the time. They're like co-sign him and they're like, oh, he has his little camp, like it was the rise of like the camps of things. Like there's good music, there's Young Money, and it's like who's gonna armor up with the new Young Guns and all that.
right.
So
Like booted 50 Cent. They're like, all right,
enough.
this is when he had his time to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
definitely at this point, I'm like moving towards middle school now. So
Mm-hmm.
this is when you start to really tap in, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
tapping in, and I'm like, oh, like I really like Lil Wayne at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
he enjoyed Young Money's music and was being very experimental with his sound then. And I didn't make the connection then is that Pharrell was always the skateboarding motherfucker.
Always, babe, all that. Like they famously, that's where down the line the beef, turns into more than what it is and where we are at present day. But it was like, yeah, that's Pharrell Steez. Like Pharrell always came out like that. And he's a Virginia Beach boy. Like that's just that is like more in line with what he grew up with, rather than, not saying they ain't had no skateboards in New Orleans, but like that wasn't how Lil Wayne started. For us who know Lil Wayne, like him on, back that ass up and seeing this like 16-year-old Lil Wayne, that was not his aesthetic. So yeah, but I will give him credit for being open to expanded things. Like I didn't like that he was biting off Pharrell as a homer, but I like that he wasn't what I thought he was going to be. Like Lil Wayne was a little bit bigger picture, and that's what's helped the longevity of his career. Because rather 50 Cent, not, he had Young Buck and Yayo and all that, but even now to this day, he kind of shits on them. So it's like those weren't really his niggas. Like in the way that like I think Lil Wayne did want to see Drake and Nicki succeed and all that. So it was cool to like that he brought them on and
Yeah,
expanded his sound.
I definitely feel like he was, I would say, the most genuine.
Yeah.
It's like I want to build up the other artists because
Mm-hmm.
eventually down the line we'll tap into it. He ended up having his own dispute, with the leader.
Yeah.
Okay, so to kind of like the rise of them, I think another point we wanted to make too is just like when we first kind of started to hear the different members of Young Money like Drake and Nicki, and really, I mean, I guess it was their Young Money era, so like the rise of Young Money. And I feel like for me, honestly, I didn't pay attention to Drake like within the Degrassi thing. That was, I knew about Jimmy being in the wheelchair, but then as far as like musically, it wasn't until I heard like Best I Ever Had, and then eventually he collabs with like Trey Songz down the line. That's when I'm really starting to pay attention to Drake. I don't
Yeah.
say my fandom is like there yet. I At this point when Drake is like, doing starting to get into the scene, I was very much like Lil Wayne all day. Like in middle school when he got locked up, my friend, one of my closest friends, was writing him a letter like, yo,
Oh wow, in jail. Yeah.
yeah, like that's how crazy stands. That's
Yeah.
stand up middle school
Mhm.
shit.
I'll give y'all a pass. That's nice to write him a check.
Right.
I did think he got a raw deal. I mean, he went to jail because having a gun in New York, where it's just like, whew, those laws, y'all's laws, y'all don't play. Y'all don't play about those gun laws. So it was like unfortunate, but that's so nice. Y'all was pen paling
I was
Lil
like, girl,
Wayne.
go ahead. And then at the time, Bedrock was like a hit. So, the whole
Oh
crew.
my God.
So we were arguing over who would take what first. And at that time, it was between Nicki and Wayne. Drake wasn't even like a main factor at this point. It was
Yeah.
a cool light skin singing ass rap.
Yeah, you just didn't know what he was gonna turn out to be. It was like he was cool, but it was like clearly immediately in a way that Kanye didn't, because he isn't biracial and, let's get into the dynamics. It was like, who the fuck is this? This light skin and learning this biracial guy that's like rapping about feelings. He's from Canada.
What?
We're very you know how we are. We are xenophobic here in America. We're like, who the fuck is this? Like, you know what I mean? So when I first heard Drake, it was a little bit the from So Far Gone, but it was because I knew the original track, the Likey Lee song and everything. So I had like that separately, and like he was rapping over it and it was great. I'm like, who is this nigga? And so I listened to the rest of So Far Gone, and then in this time, and this is me. So Far Gone comes out in 2009. I started college in 2007. I was in college from 2007 to 2011. So Graduation was the first Kanye album that I loved. I actually was one of, speaking of stands, I was like, we're gonna beat 50 Cent. These nerdy suburban, like, we're gonna beat him. So I was a part of that and all that. But it was, my freshman year in college. So like even the opening track, like Good Morning, like every track off of Graduation, it was relevant to my life at that time. Like I had loved Late Registration and College Dropout and everything, but Graduation was just like the culmination of like everything with Kanye and shooting him into superstardom and all that. So yeah, it was such an interesting time. In 2009, 2 years in, is like I came out during college. Like I had always been a closeted kid. I had always planned to come out in college, so I did. So like 2009, I was getting into those girl feelings and just really out there like dating, trying to date, trying to deal with women, and it's just like who is this light skinned nigga from Toronto? But damn, he is nailing like the feelings, like the big feelings, you know, in a fly way and over a good track. So, and this is also the blog era on the internet. So this is early social media, early blog era where you see people aren't, you're not getting your music just fed to you in the ways that when I was growing up in middle school and high school, they just fed it to you. You had to watch BET, you had to watch VH1, you had to watch, like, it was like, nah, like blog era where they were like, yo, check out Wale, check out J. Cole, check out, you know, Wiz Khalifa, check out Drake, you know, where it's like, oh, so Far Gone had made its way around all the college campuses and everything. And then it seemed not too long afterwards. So Far Gone comes out. Best I Ever Had is the single that blows up. And then Kanye directs the video for Best I Ever Had with Drake. So at an early time, very early in Drake's career, I think Kanye recognizes his talent and then also like, yo, this is one of my sons. Like, it's clear he's taking the feelings a little bit further because even early Kanye talked about his feelings and he talked about women in a different way, but it was still kind of misogynistic.
Yeah. Oh,
But it was still a little bit less misogynistic than what I grew up hearing and having that, you know, kind of embedded in. So yeah, like that's so interesting when I went back and looked at that fact and I could remember the video dropping it being like, oh, this is the first time we really see this. And it's Kanye that directs it. Kanye directed the video. So they have been just interlinked from almost the beginning. So
so crazy. And that's actually a fact I did not know that he,
yeah.
and that was the video that I remember seeing. And I'm like, yeah, he's gonna be a star, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is, this is that shit. This is on
Hmm.
replay.
Mind you, like Kanye is a superstar at this point. So this is kind of like this is a cosign. Like this is somebody again Drake was already bubbling up from his mixtape. He was getting love from the blogs and everything. And then Kanye West directs this video to kind of introduce him to the world and everything. So yeah, like it was from there, it just like took off, you know. So
That's really crazy. And that's it's crazy to think about their relationship now. And it's like, yo, he really did put you on. Don't you mad at people that, you know, because you feel like you did a big one for them and they backstab you, but you also backstab the motherfuckers that did a big one for
always. And that's why this is the messy boy drama, that rap drama that I love, because it's almost messy from the beginning. You could tell the rivalry, you know, and Drake obviously throughout his career was whether Wayne was putting a battery in his back or whatever, because like Pusha T only gets into it with Drake because Drake's trying to come to the defense of Lil Wayne and stuff like that, you know? So that doesn't even happen if he doesn't start kind of swinging at higher ups. You know, he's taking shots. Like he's, you know, it's competitive and that's rap and that's cool. But you know, some people aren't gonna like that. So
And then what's crazy too, I just thought about it, is like when we have this whole Young Money crew, after they like, you know, they kind of like step in each other's beefs, right?
mm-hmm.
Example of that, which is kind of crazy, is that Lil Wayne and Young Thug were beefing at one point with
Yeah.
Rising Up
Yeah.
and the whole Birdman situation. And here
Mhm.
Drake goes collabing with Young Thug on the regular.
After getting your bus, like Lil Wayne got his bus shot up. Like someone was trying to end Lil Wayne, and the person that is associated with that, the artist he took under his wings, you're now, you know. So loyalty from the beginning, if we were really clocking it, was never there with the people who helped him to get there, you know? So yeah, I forgot about that. Like that really happened.
Real time. Look, and guys, when I say we have like this list, it's just like
It's a list of things. It is insane. Like we couldn't even go over the whole list. Like we'll pick out the most relevant things. But even talking here, like live, you saying that, it's like that was absolutely a time. Like that Birdman was like trying to lift up Young Thug's career and Rich Homie Quan. They had the lifestyle thing. But it was like, and then Young Thug was naming his albums like the card or whatever and antagonizing Lil Wayne. And you're right, like not so long after that, like Drake's doing songs with Young Thug. You know, so yeah, Young Money's interesting, but I do want to go to when was the first time you heard Nicki?
okay. So for me, Nicki, I think we agree here on this too.
Itty Bitty Piggy.
This is the song when you put it on, you and your friends are going bar to bar. Like, you better not miss a beat. You better not, you know what I'm saying? You better get your breath in order and hit every
Mm-hmm.
single bar on this song. And honestly, if you put it on to this day, it still hit.
Iconic. Okay. And Lee, remember there was for me, you know, I grew up on so Queen Latifah and MC Light and them, that was before my era of really understanding music, but I grew up on Eve. I did grow up on Foxy Brown and Lil Kim and all that. So there was a golden era when obviously Missy Elliott doing her thing. And besides Missy, like it was just no one, there was such a drought of, you know, female rappers. I mean, and there was Trina out and some others, but like nobody really dominating in the way that Little Kim did, where it's just like you had niggas, you know, rapping the girl parts basically, like, you know, unafraid, unashamed, like, you know. But when Itty Bitty Piggy came out, bitch, like it was like, who is this? And it was on She Got a Dunk. So that was already a hit and just a club anthem. So she picked like the perfect song to just like appropriately titled mixtape, Beam Me Up Scotty, because it was like, who the fuck is this woman that's like, there had been, and I miss Lauryn Hill. I grew up on Lauryn Hill as well, but such a drought, you know, of things and of female rappers. And then Itty Bitty Piggy comes out and it just immediately shot her to the top because there was nobody there, basically. So, you know, loved her immediately, thought she was fine. Well, I didn't actually, I thought she was cute because that was like pink wig, like, you know, early Nicki was just like, all right. She cute. I could see the potential, but it was like, I don't know. She might beat my ass. So
You know what I'm saying? You sounding like you beat niggas up. You know what I'm saying?
would beat me up in a heartbeat. So I was just like, I did respect her pen. I knew, you know, she would brag about writing her own raps, which she does to this day, which I fully believe she writes most of her music, which I will always respect from Nicki. And then yeah, she was just in the same way, but in different ways, like you just knew immediately this person's going to the top if like things are done right because you know they be mismanaging people all the time, but that there's some people that stop the world, and when you ask somebody have they heard this song, people are like bitch, like you know, because
Oh,
and women across the board, no matter your orientation, you know, women, femmes, everybody, like we hadn't had anybody in a while too. It had been a drought, and it was just like, oh, bitch, she was exactly the moment. So
although she was giving femme a parent, her raps were like raw and gritty, like I was like aggressive. And I feel like
mhm.
with the industry, they were pushing like, no, the soft woman rap,
Yeah,
sensual.
yeah. I was on a plane with Dwayne.
For me, um, female rap and artistry wasn't within rap, really. I mean, Missy
Mhm.
Elliott was always on the TV, on the replay. Love Missy Elliott growing up, and like,
Mhm.
yes, I like would hear Eve and stuff like that. But
Uh-huh.
I was like, very young when like these people were at their peak.
Yeah, so you grew up in the drought.
To like go and seek and revisit it myself, you know what I'm saying? My mom was obsessed with Aaliyah. So I got the R&B girlies that were running the game. Not really rap. It was like, oh, you doing rap, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Nicki came out, I was like, oh my God. And she's doing it big for New York. And like
Mhm.
at this point, our New York rappers are like, they're not making a lot of noise, you know what I'm saying? They
Nah.
always like down south, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, really Wayne.
Yeah. That was when the South really had it because Nicki had to go down to Atlanta, and I know Deb was her manager, Waka Flocka's mama, who you know was on the show. So Deb was her manager. She did some stuff with Gucci Mane, in the same way that Drake had to be discovered by Jazz Prince and Jay Prince in Houston. So you had to go to the South
Yeah.
to make it at that point. Like you had to align yourself because the South was so strong, and it was like the music was so different. Like you had everybody again from Ludacris to T.I.'s run to obviously Outkast to oh my God, the Jeezy era was a great era. The Snowman, like it was just such an era. So you had to go to the South. You wanted to make it.
Seeing
So
now, like when this is a quick sidebar, when Joey Badass was facing off again, people were like, y'all don't want the South to get involved. Like
yeah, you don't.
they would literally cook y'all. Like,
Yeah, even though the South they might have lost it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like they kind of like New York a little like dormant, like you know what I'm saying? Y'all
Yeah,
hybrid.
that's why they mad at the West. They mad at the West.
The West has been leading it for years now, like no lie. Like
Yeah.
to it's easier for people to come in and imitate Southern culture or even the New York culture.
Mm-hmm.
Try to go and imitate West Coast culture is like
It's hard. It's hard. They won't let you. And honestly, being someone who grew up in Virginia and I've been out here, I'm in the Bay Area now and I've been out here for 11 years. Like the Bay Area and parts of California remind me so much of the South in its ways. Like Oakland and Atlanta are cousins in some ways, especially musically they are. It's so like you get the funk, you get the experimentation out here and stuff. Um, but it's just so different. Like you can't really assimilate to the West if you from the East or you from New York. You just have to respect that this is just what it is. Like, cause how they are out here and they're, yeah, it's just the West got it. Like they're their own thing. You can't really imitate that, like in the ways that you can with. And they also, I don't, I won't speak for. Well, clearly LA won't let you, but they won't let you.
give the homage and respect that I feel like New Yorkers or like some people don't have the pride to do. Like, nah, you want me to say you the best? Nah, get out of here.
Yeah, nah, they stick together. You see how it went down and everything, like, and why it had to be the West to break it to, what was it? Kendrick's last verse, in Not Like Us, with highlighting that he goes to Atlanta to get his check balance, eviscerated what was left of kind of Atlanta's hold because it kind of makes them all look goofy because they've all young thugs come out and fallen in line and just pretty much slurping Drake. And then whatever's left of the Migos, like I think they're aligned with that. Of course, Lil Baby is aligned. Like he gave a lot of people hits and they gave him hits. Whereas like I think the only notable rapper that I know that went to the Kendrick show was 2 Chainz, who has always been his own guy. And that's why 2 Chainz is good everywhere. Like he did his Larry June album out here in the Bay. Like
Fire. That was
which is fire because he's his own man. Like he's his own man. Like 2 Chainz is, yeah, he does his own thing. And also a Lil Wayne, kind of connection there. So I bet he's probably like, he knows how Drake moves and it's like, I ain't going. So yeah, like it's interesting, but I do think the South kind of lost it a little bit.
but it doesn't deny their influence, and especially in this era. Like I said, like as we're talking to y'all about this, we're unpacking. We're like, yeah, the South really did run the early thousands into like
Yeah.
say the up to like the teens, you know?
Yeah. Crunk era to trap to what do we call the Migos era? Was that still trap? I think of trap immediately. I think of T.I. and Jeezy were the first to really.
That's the real trap.
It's like young nigga trap. Then it
YN trap. There we go.
the YN trap.
The
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
rap era really is.
Yeah, yeah.
It sprouts up the Playboy Cardis and
Yes. I didn't know he was from Atlanta. You wouldn't even guess it.
but he ran to New York. And he ran back to New York. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
New York for like the imagery, because it's like I feel like there's always like this argument of who dresses the best, New York or Atlanta.
I feel torn when y'all have those fights because like Virginia is firmly in the middle. So we idolize New Yorkers, but I know what Atlanta and the South got busy with. I will say that we did idolize. If I were to talk about my childhood, we all idolize the New Yorkers. If you were a kid who moved into school and you were from New York and California, you were solid. Like you were just automatically cool until we found out you were corny. We were just, whoa, New York. Like we were such goofs. Whoa, the city. Like y'all could just run circles around us. But yeah, I would give it to New York style wise. Like the South has their own style, but I wouldn't say that people wanted, at least while I was growing up, no one wanted to imitate too much from the South until we had the white tea era. Them franchise boys, they're like, once the South started to take over, then they changed fashion. The baggy tees and all that. Yeah. The snowman. Yeah, all that. Yeah.
It's literally like, yeah, South had that influence, freaking helped all of them get to where they're at. You know what I'm saying? They were a blend of different regions, though. You know, Wayne from Louisiana, Birdman down south somewhere.
Yeah, he's New Orleans as well. That's how they got linked up.
And then New York and Canada, but he didn't bring that.
Canada by way of Houston, Atlanta, Vegas is his feel.
like to say early Drake is the Canadian vibes, but I'm not getting it. I'm not getting
He was acting from the beginning now that we look back on it. Because I was shocked when I found out he was from Toronto because it was just, or actually, it was when I heard him speak and, and it was like, oh, he's a nice, like, Canadian boy, so nice. But yeah, just getting back to like the timeline of things for folks, like, so from that basically 2009 era. So you have actually 2004 with the start of Kanye to, I would say, well into 2013, 2014. So almost a 10-year run of like rap expanding and there being more feelings, there being explosion of, not, I wouldn't say female rap just yet, or women rappers at that time yet, but it was just like all three of the people we mentioned were like the biggest people in music. Like, again, 2007 was graduation. When I'm talking about Kanye, there was a 3-year or 3 album run that was just incredible. It was 2007's graduation, which I mentioned. Then 808s and Heartbreak, which was so controversial because some people loved it. I loved it because it was just like so experimental and I had never heard anything like it. And it came out in 2008. But 808s and Heartbreak was like, oh, this nigga is on some other level shit. And I loved it. And it was and that had actually more of the feelings because I think he had personally had broken up with his black girlfriend, Alexis Pfeiffer, at the time because he was going to get married and all that. He had a black fiance who was fine. Breaks up with her. I also went to the Glow in the Dark tour, and this in the Glow in the Dark tour, which I don't even deserve at this point to have this ticket. He came to Virginia Beach, and it was unfortunate because it was a week after Kanye mom passed, but it was Kanye West, Rihanna, Chris Brown came out because they were dancing, and then who else? It was a ridiculous concert in hindsight, like a ridiculous lineup. Let me see, Glow in the Dark tour. Who was on there? It was and it was in support of graduation. So it was, and he did 808. So Kanye, NERD, Rihanna, Kid Cudi and Nas. So, and Chris Brown came out. So, um, he had that. He had, again, 808s and Heartbreak in '08. Took a couple years off because, again, after his mom, he was like, that was the first time we kind of, George Bush hates black people. In that, yeah. And I know that was in '05, but it was just like a lot of things going on at the time for Kanye. And then My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy came out in 2010. And it was right after I broke it up with my first girlfriend. And that's probably my favorite Kanye album is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is a masterpiece. And to be out during that time, woo, be in the clubs, be out during that time was just incredible. It was incredible in the clubs because it was just like so much good music with feelings and emotions and good production. You also, conversely, at that time, Drake had released Take Care. Was it Take Care Time? Let me see. I want to make sure that I'm right with the albums at that time. Thank Me Later came out in 2010, which people didn't like, but I liked it as his first official album. 2011, Take Care comes out, and that's my favorite Drake album of all time is Take Care. So, and then for Nicki, Pink Friday comes out in 2010. So that was just, those years were incredible music, incredible music. And we're not even talking about the features that these artists were on at the time. We're just talking about their albums. Like, it was just incredible music being made. They looked all like superstars, and especially Young Money, because of it's Wayne, it's Drake, and it's Nicki, like the three biggest artists. Like, you just think it's going to be unstoppable.
That was the original big three.
It was.
Honestly, like, it was the combination of, like, the singing rapping dude, the gangster rap pump rap, because Wayne gonna bring out the guitar if he needs to, and then Nicki just experimenting through all different sounds. And like I would say, while Kanye was always relevant through those years with those albums, I was a late bloomer as far as like, I'm going to seek his album when it comes out. I'm going to listen to it first. Like, for me, it was Nicki Minaj, and it was Drake. And then Drake would Take Care, Marvin's Room, Heartbreak, going through the motions. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was that.
I was living these lyrics, y'all. I was living the lyrics at the time. Okay.
I was like, that was like for you, you were like at a different point. For me, is like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to have these little like high school feelings. I don't know
Yeah.
how to so like,
But it's good that you at least had that in rap form because I didn't have that at the time in middle school that you or middle and high school that you're getting through these feelings. It's probably like tip drill Nelly out for me. you know, ain't no feelings.
no
Like
feelings.
I am swiping credit cards and cracks, and it was like, all right. so
Yeah.
y'all don't want to y'all don't want to take these young ladies out. Like I'm just like maybe I'm just an old nigga. like this is no feelings. So at least it was like helping you. That was Drake's superpower. Like despite him fighting the corny charges, because it took him years to get that stench off. And it was because of black women and it was because of black queer folks who really were like, nah, like this nigga, there's something to it. Like give him space. Like at the time, I remember because now Twitter is coming into play when we're getting 2009, 2010. So social media is starting to grow. And I remember there were these battles about Drake, with people being like, he's a cornball, and blah, blah, blah. And it was mainly black women who was making sure that Drake was covered. They kept Drake covered, okay? We kept him covered. We were like, nah, like he's really good.
Just a little baby expressing his feelings.
Yeah. We're like, y'all had a run of nasty ass music. Like, let this nigga, sing about it. And it wasn't even like, it was just like, he was so sweet. It was just like, he would, again, express his feelings and describe emotions in a way that was different. And it was fly. He was a wordsmith. So, um, yeah, Drake could do no wrong. And he was growing in influence because, like, I think what he understood, which they always say with music, is if you can get the girls, if you can get the women on your side, you're good to go, especially black women. And like, I think Drake knew that. Like, he did enough research to know, like, I just keep this formula going. That's my core audience. And that's how he will get to the where you're lost. But like, when he started to lose what we knew to be his core audience is when his music started to veer off into being shitty.
Yeah.
So, because he forgot. In the same way with Kanye as well. Like, Kanye got to a point where, especially at this time, I'm forgetting. Watch the Throne comes out in 2011. Like after I graduate college, like it came out this summer, and it's Jay-Z and Kanye, and it is really just the peak and height of the luxury rap era. Like Obama's still in office, nothing but optimism.
Like
It,
niggas Paris, like, come on, I'm not going to Paris, nigga.
but it was a good time. Like you really thought like the world was changing, and it was just like everything black seemed cool, and it was like art imitating life, and like there was so much affluence, and a lot of black people were seeing affluence at the time and coming out of the recession, because when I went into college like was right at the recession, so I was seeing people who were graduating and they were like, oh shit. So like it was weird. It was like America was opening back up to being like, it's okay, like we're good to go.
We cool. Like,
Okay, it's okay. Like Obama had to clean up a lot in his first term, but his second term, it was like things were stable again and looking up, and so the music reflected it at the time. Like
2009 to 2011, like this,
that was an era. I'll even give it 2012 because it was just
yeah, this was music from like all different like regions, if you will, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then it was different styles. You got the dancing rap, you got our hip hop, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just different quality of music. I feel like now it's like very predictable, you know what I'm saying?
oh yeah, it's AI. It might as well be AI music at this point, but it got so copycat. Everything was still experimental because we're talking about these big three, but again, you have Wale at the time, you have J. Cole, you have Kid Cudi at the time, you have all these different just rappers and musicians out there just kind of expanding what hip hop could be, and then it just compressed. Things started to go.
Because of all this shit in the background, because people that were cool with each other, making music with each other, started
Yes.
stabbing each other.
Oh, and Kendrick, I'm sorry, during the time, also Kendrick is bubbling at that time.
Nah, he's making too much noise. Now, Young Money is starting to get a little shaky, I would say. Like this 2012 onward,
Yeah.
they're starting to get a little shaky, maybe even before, and it just wasn't as obvious to us. But like all this backstabbing, and like Rihanna was like peak during the time, and now you start thinking about it, you're like, okay, you guys had a lot of distractions, especially like I said, he was pandering to the black woman, and like the men that were in tune with their emotions, they will stand up for Drake too, right? And I feel like
Yeah.
those men are
Yep.
also the stands now that no longer have control of the emotion. You know,
Yeah.
they
It was like they stood up for his emotions, but not for women's emotions.
have the people, the women that, we love singing Drake.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
Mm-hmm.
worry about what these rappers say about you. And then, like you said, the people that care about him, but not about the woman that.
Not about women's feelings though. And you're also seeing Kanye break down. So I would say, and a lot of people always attribute it to Kim Kardashian as his demise, when I wasn't surprised of seeing that pairing. Like he at that point, Kanye had, you know, the warning sign really was that George Bush doesn't care about black people, but it was on our side. So it's fine for Hurricane Katrina in 2005. But even when he did the Taylor Swift thing, when he interrupted her that live and watching that, what a night. Penny Bottle and Amber Rose before she talked, and she was fine at that time. It was like she was the finest, one of the finest women I have ever seen until that point because she didn't talk. But yeah, like
Until she started talking, it's really true.
yeah, no. But which is probably misogynistic. But but yeah, so then you had the Taylor Swift thing where it's like I was still like, okay, shouldn't have done it, but it launches Taylor Swift's career and I protect Kanye and stuff like that. But he started to do things that it was just like, oh, he's a little out there with things. And then I feel like his music got more glaringly misogynistic as things started going on. His music was starting to get darker in some ways. For me, music wise, it was I didn't hate Yeezus, but I was like, we're going in a different direction. Where are we going? And all that. And with Drake, Drake had so many things behind the scenes going on. You know, he had the Meek Mill fight, which I was on his side about because it looked like Meek was just very jealous of. Well, Meek broke that he had ghostwriters, so there was that whole thing. But like, but I didn't hold it against Drake at the time. But I did think that Meek was like felt threatened by Drake and Nicki's relationship because I think he also had love for Nicki. He clearly started pining early on in his career for Rihanna, which became a reoccurring thing. Rihanna gets him his first #1 hit, by the way, with What's Her Name and everything. And then they collaborate a number of times. And it was always in the background of the music of like, obviously Rihanna being the icon she is at the same time and rising, but like, will they, won't they? Like, he would drop things in interviews. And there's this really good video on YouTube, the one I sent you about by Deleted, if anybody follows him. But it's like Drake kind of used Rihanna throughout his early career. And I think he was really Drake was hurt in his relationships with women, even though he played a part in them not working out. And him and Kanye at around the same time, it seems, because then you start to see Kanye disgruntled with Kim Kardashian, whom he chose and whom he elevated, have real open problems with women, and then it starts to reflect in the music.
Yeah.
And it just starts to go down. It starts to go downhill. And then even with Nicki, Cardi B comes out.
Right.
And
They lose their
it
mind.
loses her mind. Like, I feel like that was starting to turn. Like, she had rubbed me the wrong way with how she responded to the Pulse nightclub shooting because she has so many queer fans and she didn't give a fuck. So that's when it was like, okay, she's a mean girl. And I know she always carried herself like a mean girl. But yeah, all three of them turn into like Nick cells, like they were incels. Like it was just like Nicki didn't like that Cardi B was encroaching on her territory and her success of things, which she should have never been threatened by. Because at this point, Nicki is solidified as one of the best, if not the best rapper. I'll never put her over Little Kim in the same way like I can never put LeBron over MJ because though I grew up with LeBron, like I did see a little bit of MJ before he was, and it was like, oh, okay, it was just different levels. And he's a blueprint. But all of them lost their mind over women. And they started to all get misogynistic and crazy about, how they express that in different ways. Like again, Kanye started to literally short out Drake's music tended to be a little bit more hateful. He always put women on blast. He would always name drop women, but he did it more. And it started to creep into those allegations of like he has a strange relationships with younger women fans, younger girl fans. So those start to bubble up, and then again, it's in the music. It's him dissing Rihanna for no reason over and over again, where he's like, "Nigga, she is gone. Like, she is gone." And then it becomes clear with Megan Thee Stallion by that time for sure that he makes music for white boys that watch streamers and just incels. Like I was like, oh, he's not making music for not only black women anymore, but like not really so much black people. And his music started to get really predictive. Um, there was exploitive allegations in terms of what he took from Drum, what he took from these artists that we talked about. He would jump into these cultures, but like, what was he doing into it? The Weeknd was a good indicator. Like, I didn't know Take Care is my favorite album, but I didn't know most of it was written by The Weeknd. So that kind of changes things for me. Not to say that Drake isn't talented, but I was just like, huh, it's a little different. Like, I feel differently about it.
That whole thing was weird too because he turned his back on The Weeknd once The Weeknd decided to not sign with him, and it's like
Exactly.
can't be moving like that. People
Yeah.
use no.
Yeah.
If The Weeknd had chose to sign with Drake, I firmly believe he would not be as big of
Oh,
today.
no.
Party Next Door, all these people, Division
Mm-hmm.
that are super talented that I feel like Drake uses them for his own good.
Legit Jordan.
Yeah, and I feel like he learned a lot of these bad habits from Birdman with Young Money. A
Yes.
lot of those artists, a couple of them made it out. A lot of them aren't really known to this day. It's really Drake, Nicki, and Lil and Tyga, the West Coast holding him down. But like they started the problem. I think the 2012 really is when everything started to crumble. Kanye
Yeah.
lost his mom, definitely altered his brain chemistry. I mean, that was the
Oh, for sure.
and then he went through that whole thing with the accident, and I'm assuming that's probably when some of the even the addiction started with him just
Mm-hmm.
using stuff. But then we have Drake getting embarrassed, like you said, by Rihanna, and he was obsessed with her. He was in love with her. He professed his love.
But also admitting to cheating on her. Like that was the thing too, where I was just like,
Like, what
he never, it was very clear from his music, he wasn't growing up. Like he was gonna keep doing the same things that he did before. Like
mad? You gonna throw bottles in the club? The incident that
Chris Brown.
was 2012. So
Yeah.
2012 is when they start to fall off. And then Kim starts dating, I mean, Kanye starts dating Kim around that time too. So like you said, the change.
Mm-hmm.
Now for me, as far as like Kanye's albums, I'm not gonna lie. Unfortunately, I my peak fandom for Kanye was when he was starting to fall off the railings a little bit.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. And like I said, I always respected the Graduation series. I that was something for me that I had to go revisit when I was older,
Mm-hmm.
about when I was like in elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But for me in real time, it was The Life of Pablo. It was I want
Great.
a t-shirt so fucking bad I can't get it. There's fake ones online. You know, it was when he started making his merge into fashion. That is
Mhm.
what like really like attracted me to like being a Kanye fan. You know what I'm saying? Like it was the Nike X Yeezy run. You know what I'm saying? Like wanting a pair of shoes.
Those Louis Vuittons that he had too were just I remember it was such a time with his once he was getting into fashion.
Yeah, and that was what like also reminded me of like this is what New York rappers when they're at their peak give fashion and music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like with him getting into Kim and then losing his mom, all that stuff, I was like, okay. And then, you know, he did drop Life of Pablo. And I would say that was like, oh my gosh, top to bottom, I can listen to this album.
Mm-hmm.
He just was kind of weird, but there were a couple songs I was like, I hate that I like this.
Yeah, same.
Very young and like naive in a sense, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, what he said, you know, and
Yeah.
unfortunately he went on TMZ and the big slave
Mm.
choice.
And that was when I got off.
I- Hmm.
I'm like, I tell you what's a choice is being a fan. Like that's when I knew, and he had already been erratic because at that point, I think he had 2016. I know that I think it was it 2018 that he said the comments about slavery.
was 2018, yeah, May.
Okay. I'll actually say 2016 was when I got off, or probably 2015, 2016. When he put that red hat on
Oh,
and said, listen, when he aligned himself with Trump, I was like, I gotta go. Like, this is it. Like, this is it. Like, cause it was completely opposite to what I grew up with him to be. Like, he should have been the person that like destroyed Trump and actually been like the nemesis, the one to say something. Because again, this is George Bush doesn't care about black people. And then here, 10 years later,
which
he's like shucking and jiving. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And he also ushered in like this black conservatism, like whereas like Drake does the incel thing, and so does Kanye to a certain point. Kanye introduced like black people feeling okay about having those particular like racist views and self-hating views. Like, because like to love Trump, and he was saying a lot of Trump stuff, it wasn't just putting on the hat, but then it went from that all the way to once he said slavery was a choice. All right, bro. Like I couldn't listen to his music. I was like, it's nothing he's done. He hasn't at this time allegedly. He hasn't beaten anyone. He hasn't done anything physically to that I know of. I mean, he has some allegations now, but at that point, like it wasn't like I'm separating and like with a R. Kelly where it's just like I'm never gonna listen to his music again because I can't separate it. I was like, politically we don't align, and I think it's very damaging what he's doing. But it just got worse from there. Like White Lives Matter. Like he has completely spazzed out. And then what was frustrating was like there were still so many people supporting him. He did that whole damn choir thing, which was a crock of shit to me. Great music that came out of it. Crock of shit. I couldn't listen to it because I was like, this man is so not godly. Like y'all are getting tricked by this guy. Like he just said slavery was a choice and now you want to do hymns with him? Get the fuck out of here. Like, I was like, we be as black people gullible as shit or so forgiving. Cause I was like, for him to full chested say that about us is like crazy. And then again, at this very same time, Drake is turning out to like really be misogynistic. And I should have caught on to it earlier because really all his shit, his feeling shit was like in hindsight like just nice misogynistic guy, raps. Like
it's
that's
kind
what it turned
of
out to be.
attacking your ass, you know?
Yeah. Like it was like nice, but it was also like I came from a place where like that got me because I ain't know no better, And not that they like I love rap. It's never gonna be completely misogynistic free of things, but how he was moving in real life with people. At this time, he was fighting with Pusha T and all that. Pusha T exposed him in more ways than one. The kid thing wasn't even like the flyest part of it. Always loved how Pusha T, like, just surgical summer. Like, he is so precise with his disses of things, like getting into the identity stuff that Kendrick picked up and took, where it's just like, Push is telling them like your hair don't curl right like you want it to, and you don't like you'll never be culture. Like we'll never, But people is rumbling starting to come out of how Drake is a Karen, like behind the scenes, and then fast forward to now, we know it to be true, and again, yeah, and then Nicki would just like could not take competition. Like I was just like, you shouldn't even see Cardi as competition or any of these like, you know, women rappers out there, but yeah, she handled it so bad because what Drake did do right was get with the young, hot, upcoming whatever, but
And
not Nicki.
aligned himself with like talent that I feel like the ones that he was most intimidated by, he would sign. Like imagine
Yeah.
for me, I always say if Party Next Door didn't sign with Drake. First of all, Party Next Door helped write songs that Drake and Rihanna are a part of. So what if he
Yeah.
took those roles for himself? You know what I'm saying? I strongly
Yeah.
believe he would be a household name. But
hmm I
Nicki,
mean, he just used them again just to, with Nokia and all that. Like they did their joint album, and like the one song that pops on that album is a song that Party's not even on. So,
honestly, for me, the best song is the one that Drake's not on. I feel like you truly hear how he really sings on that song. And
mhm.
I feel like that song was supposed to be on Party Next Door's last album that he dropped by himself last year. But
Mm.
whatever. I could go on and on and
Yeah.
people don't really recognize it. Y'all better recognize it now. Now, as far as Nicki, I would say the first red flag should have been when she didn't pay homage to Lil Kim. And
Yeah. Yes.
unfortunately, I was that little bird brain little girl, like, oh, whatever. Like a toddler when she was at her peak, or not even, maybe not even a thought, who knows?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that should have been the red flag. You know what I'm saying? And then, like you said, when Cardi's starting to come out, now we're going into like 2017. You know, Cardi was like more so stripper, reality TV pipeline,
Mm-hmm.
rapping. So then when it's like, nah, who's this reality loving hip hop stripper asshole trying to come for me? That should have been the moment she should have followed her peer like Drake and collab
Mm-hmm.
versus
Mm-hmm.
trying to attack.
Yep.
I would say Drake did good in that case. Like he did,
Yeah.
and he was smart about it. And that's why I strongly believe a lot of these collabs, as much as they benefit the newer artists or the one that hasn't been heard like that, it benefited him. It allowed him to tap
Mm-hmm.
into those different regions, and it gave him, you know, collabing with Rihanna, eventually with
Mm-hmm.
his finest, like that really helped push his career. And I feel like that's where Nicki failed. She was not to cater to other female rappers, even to
Yeah.
attacking Lotto and taking Ice Spice under her wing. But the moment she dries up,
Egg.
it kick her out. Because
Yeah.
you see her also collabing with other people. You want to stifle your artist to move the same way you.
Territorial. She's moving like a stud, like it, like old stud, like it's some territorial shit. And that was what, like, you nailed it on the head. The real first red flag should have been the Little Kim Nicki thing. And then at the time, and that turned out to not be true. But what she was trying to say was like Little Kim was trying to be like son her and everything, and it was believable. But it was also like we were so starved for a female rapper, like we were just like, y'all figure it out. Because also, not for nothing, but like Little Kim and Foxy Brown era could have lasted longer if they didn't beef.
Right.
So it wasn't so far fetched that like maybe Little Kim and Nicki, didn't like each other for whatever reason. And like it was easy to let that go because Little Kim already didn't like Foxy Brown. So it seemed like, okay, like that unfortunately is what happens. So, but yeah, like she never really evolved the music with like kind of she never reached back basically, and her music was affected by that. And I think she also business wise, yeah, she didn't play it like how Drake did, where she would have been bigger if she would have collaborated with more women rappers. But also she beefed with Mariah Carey. Like she beefed with anybody who was born with a vulva.
Yeah.
She beefed with for like no reason. So she was a mean girl, and it was just like it got kind of old. She took some bad positions with things. Like her last big boost to me. First off, I love the Queen album was the last album that I like. I didn't listen to this Pink Friday too because at this point I'm out. But the last like glowy moment that I think kind of where she peaked at was doing shit with Beyonce.
Yeah.
And I think she's kind of hurt by like there's a whole like lore out there on the internet too about like how she wanted to be on Rock Nation so bad because as you mentioned, when Cash Money kind of split, or sorry, Young Money kind of split, and like you had Drake really build up OVO, like Nicki was kind of just like out there. She was Young Money, but like, she clearly wasn't about to start a label, which thank God because she's been terrible at it. But I think she wanted to, and I'm not also doubting the sexism that she went through, like, I'm sure in the industry and things that, like, she probably had to go through, but, yeah, no, I think it just you found out that she was kind of a shitty person too. Like, she wasn't that good of a person, and, she would spaz out with stuff, and, I didn't like how she came at Cardi. I didn't like how she friended Meg and was mad that Meg did a song with Cardi, where it's just like, why would you stifle the growth of this artist? This song had none. My beef is not your beef. Like that kind of shit was always so lame to me. Like you don't own these girls. It's very stud territorial behavior in hindsight. So that shit crazy.
What's crazy? If I'm not mistaken, didn't Drake and Meg, wasn't he cool with her?
He was cool with Meg when she first came out too. Like they partied. Meg was cool with everybody, and then
It was just like a vibe. She was just like, I'm cool.
yeah, fun.
Tear her down for that. Oh, girl, you can't be cool with everybody, which
Yeah. You apparently can. But Meg was like so loved when she was first bubbling. Like it really wasn't until the Tory thing. Well, obviously starting with Nicki because the bars get mad with WAP and all that. But Tory, Tory, Tory changed all of that. Tory changed the entire trajectory of it. Like whatever side you go on, and there's only one right side, but her career, no one could dispute that Meg the Stallion's career was completely derailed by something that she had no control over. Like, you know, whether you believe she was shot or not, like something happened that night, and there are legions of niggas and just incels mad at her for what happened to her.
Yo, like I'm not gonna lie, I had commented under a post too. It was on their Records Instagram page, and I was just like, if you are so hurt about Tory being in jail, go protest. Go actually
Go do
stop
something. Sign a petition.
people's posts supporting Meg and attacking them. Like they were calling me all types of he and she's. I'm like, get another disc, please, because you realize every day of my life when I walk into a woman's bathroom, a lady.
Oh
My God!
oh,
Like,
oh.
what the fuck? You gonna call me all types of species? You're mad that Tory is in jail, and you call
Yep.
that will not free him. Okay.
Meg the Stallion did not put Tory in jail. The state of California is, you know, I told you how New York got Lil Wayne. California has the same strict ass laws. He was firing weapons or around a weapon. He shouldn't have had a weapon. And then he just handled it so stupid. She held it down. It's a whole, but even to the point of like, again, Drake was beefing with Tory before all this, and then all of a sudden this is his nigga, free him and everything. So he is really an incel, like, and he makes incel music, he makes bad music now, and it's all crashing down. And like even now I don't even know how much credit to give him as more and more information comes out about how much help he's had. You know, how much people have written for him, how many demo tracks and stuff. And while I still believe I know there's talent there because he's written for other people, you know, he keeps doing shiesty stuff. Like he is hip hop's Karen, and we didn't even get into the Kendrick stuff because we were just focusing on these three. But what's clear about these three is the biggest demise of these three really millennial music titans is these are awful people. They're not good people. They just don't seem to be good. And it doesn't mean they have to be pushovers. It doesn't mean they have to be nice all the time. But people genuinely have a problem with how they move with people. And it's very clear that all three of them especially Drake and Kanye are phony. They're phony to each other, first off. Like Pusha T called that out like before, but they're phony to each other. They have this weird love-hate relationship. And if you look at Drake and Nicki, same thing. Like they were out on each other for a while. They get back in. It's like an uneasy alliance. But all three of them have completely self-sabotaged their own careers and their own trajectories of things because they're contemporaries. If you compare them, again, a Drake to, I know Kendrick's just having that kind of commercial success in lap because of what he did this full year of, you know, with Drake. But Kendrick was already solidified. He was a Pulitzer Prize winner. So everything, all the seeds he planted back in 2010, 2011, where there was an internal, like what we know now to be kind of an internal battle for the soul of hip hop, which he initially wasn't able to peek through because Drake was just too strong, is now coming back to like the real is on top. And you see it reflected in the music. The clips is back. Like there's a realness coming back.
And that's being celebrated. Before it was like, oh, nobody wants to listen to that conscious.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
J. Cole is very fortunate to be able to rise within conscious rap because people weren't taking to that. And like that was just like a sidebar there, but just like
no, but even how he handled, remember how he was clowned last year for bowing out and how well that's aged with him being like, I actually don't want to be a part of this. Like,
I was clowning him too because I was like, my thing is, why did you even get involved in the first place?
competent. He did because he did try, and then he was like, never mind, no, I don't want to do this.
Like now, people are gonna be like, bro, you can't go on no track and be like, I'm a hard drilling that. And I'm not gonna lie though, when he did drop his freestyles on the blog, he bringing back blog era rap. Very impressed. I'm like, this is what you need to do. Continue this. But like now is the time that we're going to see real longevity in music, not just era, a phase that dies off. Kendrick has been consistent in the quality and the type of rap he gives, and now we're seeing that rise up. Now we got clips. Now we have other people tapping into that type of real rap. That's what I say. Rap, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I don't mean real rap in terms of, because like when I grew up, real rap meant to be that hard shit. We're not talking about that kind of real. We're talking about people with integrity and morals, because even now, like there's been a little bit on the internet with the clips coming out and how the rollouts coming and what So Be It has been and everything, with Push talking about Travis Scott, and it's like, oh, they're like clips always, or Pusha T always has to diss somebody for record sales. Like, first off, I mean, the Clips album's gonna do well anyway, but Nicki fans, Kanye fans, and Drake fans are the kings of like, what were their record sales? What were their record sales? Like, kind of thing, where that wasn't even used to be a discussion in rap. Like, but also like they're talking about, again, integrity and morals. Like, Push is calling out Travis Scott for being a messy bitch, because that's all Travis is. Like, Travis keeps doing messy shit on tracks. Like,
His boy. Who was his boy?
yeah. Who's his boy? Drake. It is always Drake who does that with Travis Scott.
The root. It started with Birdman, but that motherfucker's
a root.
All
right.
Like, for me, it's super disappointing with Travis, because I will be honest with y'all. Always, I was a Travis fan. Like, honestly, after like the Astral incident, I had to take.
I just watched that documentary too.
I have to tap into it. I am like, I know it's like gonna be officially like, once I watch it, it's gonna be like, yeah, I can't.
Yeah. I always thought he was talented, but I was like, I've seen this before. This is ASAP. This is Pharrell. This is like if they had a kid. Like,
and I still fuck with it though, because ASAP fell off by not consistently dropping music to up. Now he's trying to do this rollout. It's like every other month is getting pushed back. But Travis was that fun rage rap. Like Kris said, real rap. That's his real rap for me too. Like that radio type difference.
It is
happening in. Like, that's him being authentic to him. But what I don't fuck with is the morals, the behind the scenes shit. And I've always heard rumors about, oh, with his song 90210, he moved funny with that. And now all these antics is coming to light. And Pusha said it, like his mentor is Kanye. Guess who's Drake's mentor? Even if he doesn't want to admit it, they all are connected. And I am honestly wondering if they could even make a comeback for this. And if you look at the theme, they're all jealous people. Jealousy gets you nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's the biggest reason for their demise. And just like now they all seemingly are Trump supporters.
They kind of are all. I had predicted that Drake would go full MAGA, but I feel like he can't really now, just because Canada doesn't like how obviously Trump got into office and tried to start a whole fight with them. So like he can't, because he wouldn't be able to really go back to Canada like that, because like they hate Trump. So he can't be like, make America great again. But he's still in that conservative far right bubble. Again, like that is, it's developing. It's going to be Drake the villain. In terms of can they come back, I think out of the three, who's most likely to come back, I feel like Nicki hasn't done well. She has to divorce that husband, because that also, we have not thought about that, but that was also some girl. You went from dating Nas to dating a childhood crush or whatever.
She was dating Lewis motherfucking Hamilton.
Oh, really? See, yeah.
The fucking race car driver, right?
Wow.
That was like her whole lineup. Yeah, they were rumored to be dating in 2018. Nas, and it's like, you had some elite niggas. How did you end up with the nigga on the block?
No. And that nigga on the block, because it's like, oh, okay, old friend, maybe trust wise, because God knows the Safari era, my God, like how I don't know how long they stayed, how they could have stayed that long together, but like, you gonna get a sex offender husband and then try to act like he's not a sex offender husband, and like all the stuff she did to try and bully the like, it was just like, all right. So I don't know. I think if she divorces him, and if she can link with either Meg or Cardi, or even both.
Cardi. It's gonna have to be. Yeah, it's gonna have to.
It has to be Cardi, actually. Well, I don't know. You think if she really pieces it up with Meg, what do you think?
It's not gonna be enough, because Meg hate her so bad, even though she's. It's not gonna be enough. I think it has to be Nick. It has to be the most humblest way ever. She has to divorce that man
Mhm.
and she has to apologize. She gonna have to blame it on that man. If she wants,
She's gonna have
he was the reason, y'all. Y'all were right. He did have me on drugs. I was out of my mind. I'm good now. I'm ready to
Lee.
take accountability.
Her PR team has it already drafted. Like, just
Girl,
say the
sign us
word.
up. We got
They
you.
will have a rollout. She will sit down with Oprah, all of them, just to be like, I didn't know what I was doing. That Coke rant that I went on after Megan's Law,
Have
I
to
had
admit to all of it. Admit
all
to
of
the
it.
drugs and say it's his fault because we will believe.
We'll believe you.
And then make a song with Cardi, and then
Yeah.
finally have the collab of the lifetime within female rap that we've been dying for. Because
Yeah.
imagine them two on a track, like
Oh my God. Imagine on tour. Can
exactly.
you imagine them on tour? I will say they like first off, Cardi needs to release another album. Like she gotta like girl.
Not enough. We need the album.
Yeah, like just release it. We
Yeah,
know it's not no, it's not invasion of privacy or whatever. It's no Bodak Yellow, but just release it.
yeah. You still
Kanye, I don't think Kanye makes it back. I don't think he can. I think it's irreparable harm. Like he is. I mean, especially after his tweets, and I know there's mental health issues, but after he tweeted that Jay-Z and Beyonce's children are the R word, that's it. That's a wrap.
I
He's
was
never
like,
coming back.
I don't even have sympathy for him
I
anymore.
don't.
Or it'd be like, he lost his mom, and I'm not. I obviously the industry.
Which he used for like 10 years. No one has ever been able to stretch a parent death like he has been able to.
Like, all right, nigga, go to therapy and like maybe just have a session every fucking day at this point.
Heal. Go heal. Yeah.
Back
Yeah.
Orf loves her fucking father. Like she
Yeah.
loves her dad. And it's very heartbreaking because now they are getting into the age where now I can see,
They understand it.
so it's
You're gonna have kids asking you about your dad's antics. Like,
and like
you
I always hated Kim and I'm like, damn, now you got me feeling bad for
I don't know what they do behind the scenes. We know they can manipulate media,
right.
but I will say she has always publicly held it down for him
Yeah.
until like there's been time like where until she could not.
Yeah.
And actually, all the sisters really do it. And maybe again, there's some nefarious things we'll learn about later where it's like they're going behind and playing these industry or PR tricks behind the scenes. But I don't really feel sorry for any of the men in their lives because they know what they were getting with them.
Yeah.
And I do think that to some extent that they do protect their baby fathers. Like you don't hear Kylie talking bad about Travis Scott. That middle one, Chloe, I don't know. That's it's a different situation. But Kim and Kanye be saying the wildest stuff about her. It has said the wildest things about her. And she still,
He like actively like compares her to his current wife and it's like, girl, what are you even doing?
yeah, who left and that was weird because she was a Kim clone. But I know I know with the Diddy trial going on currently, there's some things that might come out after the recording of this where it could even alter it further, where it's like we really won't fuck with Kanye anymore. Now Drake is an interesting one because while he can also apologize, he's gonna have to drop that lawsuit first off.
Huh.
That's number one. Like how Nicki has to drop the husband, Drake has to drop the lawsuit and apologize for it. And even then, honestly, I would never trust him again because his is different because this is when identity comes into play. Culturally, he was raised by his Jewish white mom, and I feel what's true to him culture-wise is like how he's acting now and how he has been behind the scenes with him trying to use his privilege in certain areas to stop projects, to threaten people, to, you know what I mean? So his has been the most insidious, like neck and neck with Kanye. Like I guess if I had to pick again, it would probably be Nicki has the best chance. She has the easier route.
Yeah.
She has the easier route to get into the best graces. I think number two would be Drake just because Kanye has like sinks to new lows all the time. Like
Lost cause.
he's still sinking and still Drake as well. But yeah, I feel like Drake could sit down, do his probably actor's tears and just be like, I really went out of control. Like basically he could take what Kendrick was telling him in the disses and be like, listen, you need to kill that ego. grow up, mature, and like be a better man. Like I think he still has some time to, but I think Kanye is just Kanye. And I'm never gonna call him Ye.
Never call him.
I'm never calling him Ye.
Honestly, I'd be like Kanye, yay,
Yeah,
yee.
that nigga's Kanye. So
No,
this was so much fun. I am so happy I got to talk. We got to finally talk about it because we had been talking about the whole arc of this for the longest time, and like to finally get things down and like, you know how the detectives had the little chart with things like we were like Birdman, and like I actually see the Birdman Drake OVO tree, like you said, and to some extent even Nicki picking up on that toxicity of like, you know, being territorial or whatever. Maybe picked it up for Birdman, maybe picked it up for just how they pit women against each other. But I definitely see the Birdman in Drake, and it's interesting.
oh, he's literally the reason. What's the reason? Birdman.
Yeah, and even now with like Wayne's last that Carter 6 that or whatever that was that he released a couple weeks ago. You're ruining a legacy.
We gonna act like it never happened.
It never happened. I do think it's interesting that Drake and Lil Wayne haven't done anything together, you know, even during this, you know, last year of like, you know, it's not like Lil Wayne really came to Kendrick. The only time Wayne said something about Kendrick was about the Super Bowl. He didn't really give a fuck about what was happening to Drake, you know. So, but he did do an album or he did do a single with Nicki. So I think they're still on good enough terms. But that's also very telling to me. I think Wayne and Drake have not been fly for a long time. And Drake still tries to use that, oh, like, that's my, you know, got like from time to time where it's like, I don't think they fly.
Yeah.
So,
You got his tattoo on your body, but y'all ain't cool at all.
yeah, after you fucked with his girl.
Yeah. And I think that, look, women, and
Yeah, it's women.
I don't think Wayne can recover from that. And I don't think they want the public to know that is the root of some of
Yeah.
the issues. And honestly, like with my rankings, I agree. Nicki could possibly, if she blames the husband, breaks up with him, and like drugs, and collabs with every girl that she ever talks shit about. But like
Yeah.
Drake is going further and further away. He's almost neck and neck with Kanye.
Yeah, he might have to change. Like he might have to go to yacht rock, is what I've been saying. He needs to go to. He needs to go to another genre. He has to get out of rap. I think Drake to survive has to leave rap.
Yeah,
I think he should go on to something else.
it. You suing a guy because you're a pervert?
For lyrics. You're suing for lyrics and lyrics on something that you invited somebody to do. The Epstein angle is what I like. You said it. You said it.
He literally asked for this. And then on top of that, years ago, he was like, it's so wrong to use lyrics against rappers. Defending
Yeah.
dog, right?
Yeah. But you know, after that Pusha T fight too, you know, when he did the interview with LeBron and everything, and he was basically saying like trying to change the rules of engagement on rap beef, saying like Pusha T took it too far when he said 40, you know, was sick. Where it's just like
We don't care about 40. Sorry.
we don't care about 40, but my good sir, this is rap. like, like, what are you talking about? Like, this is what we do here. Like, you can't say like, I don't know, like you can't play basketball and like be scared of a hard foul.
Right. And
You know, so
case, if you were so hurt about that and you felt like, oh, it took it too far, why did you why did you bother to get into more conflicts with any rappers? Like, you should have just, that was it. I learned my lesson. That was it. But he didn't. And I think that is literally going to be their demise. They don't learn lessons.
they don't.
Fuck. And they all follow Birdman and his dumbass actions. Even
To this day. To this day. He thought he was good. He thought he was Lucian's golden child, like he had been rapping for the last couple years, and then he found out he wasn't because, you know, Drake could have been the most powerful artist at all times. He could have broke the system, but you know, even starting with Tidal, not that he had to do something with Tidal, but even when that came about, with like breaking, you know, doing their own streaming thing and just streaming rights, he aligned himself with the establishment, and then now he's mad that the establishment is like, you're actually not as valuable as you like. You're not gonna appreciate. Like you've peaked. You're not gonna sell as many records as you did before. Like this is it. So you know the establishment is now against him. But yeah, like I think it's Drake has to leave. He has to go to another genre, like yacht rock. Like he could do something that's a little, because his little sing-songy shit, that's his lane. He could do
Or
that.
just stick to R&B. Just go back to
He
sing
could.
and
Yeah.
talk about how much you love women. Maybe he gonna have to experiment. I don't know. I
I don't think he could talk about his love of women until we see it in real life, because like now, don't believe you. Like he has to do the opposite of Nicki. He has to find somebody so beloved by the culture,
yeah.
marry them, and then we're like, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe he even taps back into being an actor for a bit. Make
Yeah.
you miss him rapping. It's like, oh yeah, he's the family man. He's acting.
Yeah. I do think he should go back to acting. Like he should. He should definitely
He
step
just
up.
might take a step away completely, honestly.
Yeah. He definitely just needs to go away. Like no one wants more Drake music. No one, but he signed to a nigga that signed to a nigga that signed to that nigga. So he might not even be able to.
Mm.
So
We're gonna see if Jay Prince let him drop another album.
right. Can I act, please? We'll see. We'll let you know. Get back on the road.
Oh yeah. Well, y'all just got a great rundown. I think from now y'all can make some wise choices about who you choose to stand. But I think the main
Yeah.
point is don't stand anybody.
Don't stand any of them.
They
Don't.
don't get caught up in the stand up and lose your mind online like the rest of these people.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, but just know that we don't know these people in real life.
Don't know them. We don't know any of these people. And I'm so tied to the feelings. Like I want to hit home with like, I understand people having such ties. I have such powerful memories to Drake's music, to Kanye's music, to Nicki's music. Not as much as those two, but definitely like Drake. I was a Drake sexual, okay? Like I loved Drake.
Yeah.
I loved what I thought Drake was. I loved what I thought Kanye was. I love their music. I think at least Kanye is a musical genius, but like it does matter to me if these people don't really live what they're saying. Like they don't have to live all that, but like I don't, yeah, nah.
Can't do
We
it.
don't know these people. We
Can't put
don't know
it
it.
on the line no more. I'm done.
Yeah, winning.
And see if they're able to make a comeback. Nikki, if you
Yeah,
to help you with some PR, Chris and I
yeah.
are here. But
Right. Yeah, you gonna have to fall on swords. You gotta go talk to everybody. And the thing is too, is like what I tell people is that we're so lucky to live in a time that there's always new music to discover. So, for the people who do want people of integrity and stuff and have shown themselves to, at least at this point, to be to have integrity, you could go back and listen to some Clips albums. You
right.
could listen to some Pusha T. You could listen to old Kendrick. You could go all the way back where people were. You could do a Public Enemy. You could go back to any music you want. So like Drake doesn't have to, like when people are like, you're gonna cut out Drake. I've cut Drake out of my life for the last like honestly 2 years, and it's been easy. Like even if something comes on, which I kind of usually turn, but yeah, like I don't have to listen to Drake or Kanye.
Yeah.
Like there's so much music out there.
You can
So
for yourself. Or you can listen to some of the recommendations we gave at the very beginning. You could tap
exactly.
house music, something
Exactly.
different, something good for the soul, you know what I'm
A
saying?
lot of good young upcoming artists. Yeah.
K1, you know what I'm saying? You can listen to some
Yeah.
queer artists. Don't It's not like you're gonna turn gay to listen to us. Yeah. You
Just enjoy.
welcome.
Destin Conrad. There's a lot of great
Yeah.
artists out there, queer artists out there, great artists that are out there making great music. So,
Right.
you know.
But I think the point is just expand your ears.
Mhm.
Don't fall into standum. You know what I'm saying? And the moment you see the signs, don't be like us. We learned the hard way, and I feel like
We
it
did.
like like a little social heartbreak. Like, oh my gosh, like
It did. It hurts not to be able to listen to those songs the same way and be like, damn, like when Can't Tell Me Nothing comes on, I know vividly where I was in life.
great.
Like, y'all don't understand. Like, I understand the powerful ties to these music, and it doesn't mean I'll never listen to any of the older music of these artists, but I've been fine listening to other things, discovering other things and older music that I was maybe too young at the time to see what was up with that. Why LL Cool J is commonly referred to as the first Drake. He was the first rapper to be to cross over, to have raps about women in a way, and he does. And I did grow up to a lot of LL, but not his early stuff. So like even going back and listening to how he was giving it up was like, oh yeah, like, so there's always, and then there's newer folks. So yeah, just expand your music interests and everything. Like Kanye and Drake were inspired by musicians.
Exactly.
So
They didn't start things, they continued it, and they
hmm
had people that they looked up to as well.
yeah.
I think
So
y'all, if stands, just take it easy. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. And again, for the younger folks, I want to just like this last point, and I'm just reiterating it. Like you're so fortunate to have all this music at the just the palm of your hands. Like we used to have CD players that you didn't want to scratch and mess up and all this others. It was so hard to get to music.
Right.
And like now you could look up anything and you could listen to it on demand, on repeat. So take advantage of that. Expand your music taste and everything. So
Yeah,
yeah.
that's a great point. Use this streaming era for good, and in terms of just like don't try to be like everyone else. So listen to
Yeah. Go off the playlist. You don't always
right,
have to just
right,
go
right.
off the Spotify playlist. Like dig in, like see the related artists and all that. Like there's a lot of great people
But yeah,
out there. So
I think we packed the punch, and y'all uh follow Kris in her pod as well, Bad Queers. I personally love their pod, and like she honestly, Kris is one of the people that motivated me to even grab a freaking mic and like
oh,
speak
thank you.
about like things that I'm interested in, you know what I'm saying? So, y'all know I got the link in the bio. I'm in the description box of this episode. Let us know what was your favorite part of this episode, and also what you want to hear us tap into again. I definitely want Kris to come back. So I'm saying,
Yes,
I think we
yes, yes,
sprinkled
yes.
in a couple of different things that we might have to build upon. But if there was something that you heard that you really like, shoot me a text. Y'all know, description box right there, and we will dive into it. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank you, Kris, for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Right. And I hope y'all enjoy, and y'all have a great rest of your day, night, whatever time you're listening to this. Enjoy.
Take care.